Forrester.
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an extreme flash flood.
Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Talk to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages that we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv. Andrew J. Polk. We are back, well-ish rested. Hope you all are as well after this nice long holiday weekend. But we've also got quite a lot to talk about. Every time I say that the weekend seems to really stack up the stories, well, that's just ramped up to 11 here as we're at the start of this short week, but we're definitely cramming it in as much as we can here. Some of the topics to be discussed about here today, we definitely have a lot of immigration issues coming up here, including some more of the, well, there's some descriptions coming from our news partners that you'll hear, but I just want to say the viciousness, despicableness of some of the cartels and the coyotes and things like that, definitely on display in our area and other segments of the border here. John Browsland saying, welcome back after a 5-day vacation. I'm going to need to learn how you did some of that math here, because I'm not quite following that number here. I mean, sure, we were here Friday, so we got Saturday, Sunday, Monday here. I also think on our post yesterday, you call it the 99th day of vacation so far this year. No, we never have held nor have pursued presidential office, so we don't take that kind of vacation here. But in any case, we're definitely back at it and here for you today, and got a lot we'll be getting to here. Again, migration, immigration, border security, all these issues here, and some being commented on nationally, as you may have heard at the top of the hour news break here, but even more also evidenced here in our region of the borderland, not necessarily quite as deadly at this point in time, but also not necessarily for lack of trying, shall we say, the life concern there. That's why there's definitely some other adjectives that I'd like to interject into some of these situations, but we'll get as close as we can anyway, given the radio and FCC restrictions that we have. But of course, won't be the only things we're talking about today. Also have a lot of stuff going on when it comes to education. School boards, local school board actually taking some action in response to that controversial video posted online. I hesitate to say leaked, because leaked makes it seem like it was something intended to be kept secret. So maybe it is. I don't know. We can debate that later. But that entire Franklin High School English teacher, the school board taking some action on that. We'll delve into that as well. And our interview today, as we are approaching, I know we just were thinking about Labor Day, but already coming up this next weekend, some significant events involving, well, some other major marked days. September 11th, of course, coming up. Our interview today with some organizers of a very interesting, and we'll decide for yourself how you feel about it, tribute coming up to that. Our interview today with Team RWB and some of the local representatives there with it, about their literally moving tribute here. And Flaco Jimenez is saying, if I did take a vacation, who cares? I mean, I'd like to think some of you all would. Okay, let me just say, not like to think. Some of you all have told me that you would. So I take that as evidence here, and why we try to make sure we have at least something on our air, some kind of programming that is hopefully new and ideally local, but needs must, and so forth here. So, I mean, I take the point as well, like, do what's right for you kind of thing. I've often said that here, but I also want to do right by you all, which is why we're back here, while we're back live, and really going to delve into it. So let's get right at the heart of the issue here. Again, you may have heard about, and again, some of the national response, including coming from, our national news wires here from the start of the week, and actually technically happened over the weekend, now that I should correct myself, of the, now I believe, up to 13 that died in an attempt to cross the Rio Grande in other parts of the border, not in our area more, where the rains have really been slamming it. I mean, it is not that this stuff never happens, but it's definitely been in a lot more highlighted and a lot more focus going on with it recently here. And so those situations and those parts of it there definitely highlighting some of the national response to it. But even in our region, when it comes to, again, the immigration and border security issues here from our news partners over at KFOX 14, a 4-year-old boy found abandoned near border wall in Santa Teresa here. And actually, U.S. Border Patrol, among other things, sharing the picture of that. If you haven't already followed them and you're at all interested in these issues, I would highly recommend that you give a follow to the El Paso sector, U.S. Border Patrol social media pages. Actually, they have been very proactive out there, as we also have Ida Beza Gardner joining us over on the social media, as well as Kathy Codry over on the YouTube specifically here. So hello to you as well. And open talking about evil policies, Kathy mentioning that there. So again, the Border Patrol, they've been very active on their social media here, has some interesting conversations with them myself here that may turn into some more discussions in the future. But they have the picture up there of who was found. And the official quote is, the boy who was from Ecuador was abandoned by quote-unquote ruthless smugglers. I'm not disagreeing with that description there. It's still an apt adjective there. Let's just call it many more adjectives that I'd like to use, several of which at least source from 4-letter words that I definitely can't say here on the radio, but I think y'all get the idea there. Not a fan of anyone involved in this process up to and right before we start talking about law enforcement, essentially. Because, I mean, in this case, the agents say the boy was in possession of his passport and parents' contact information, but also the fact that just shy of about 20,000 unaccompanied children have been encountered across border sectors this fiscal year. So actually, it's a little not clear as to exactly if that is this border sector or not here. I know that it's coming from, the chief of our region, Gloria Chavez posted this specifically. And yeah, this is bad. I'm going to call it maybe slightly better if there can be comparisons made than the little girls we talked about previously who were literally dropped over the wall. But the abandonment of minors there's no good way to put that phrase. There's no they were abandoned, but no, you had us in the first half, my dude, here. So it's bad. And there's just no other way to describe this here. So the idea of there being more border security efforts and things like that, I don't think any of us would be like, no, the federal government shouldn't do anything more for border security. It's definitely nothing more that they can do. I'd be very surprised if anyone, really of any political stripe at this point, would say that unless they're say, a coyote, cartel member, smuggler, etc. Those groups, yeah, I fully expect them to disagree with it here. And now I'm not trying to cut off debate and say that there's not finer points to be made here, but seriously, does anyone really think that there has been enough done for border security? Because I would love to pick your brain about that and wonder how you came to that conclusion, because seriously, it's bad. And the fact that this stuff kind of can happen, again, immigration reform is its own very important priority that should probably be happening at the same time. But as much as I have held the contention that the big federal government and country that we are, we can have a couple priorities at the same time, as much as that keeps seeming not to be the case, that should definitely be one, because there should not be any circumstance where this can even happen. At the very least, being a very rare blue moon kind of situation. But the fact that this keeps happening, and we are talking about literally tens of thousands, either in our sector or the border sector overall, need to get a little bit clarification on that. Bad. Just bad. Awful, abysmal. And again, other words I can't really get into here. But in any case, we have a lot more to talk about here today. The border security issues and what the response coming from it, we will see, as there are also, again, more dying in other crossings in the Rio Grande in other parts of the border area and the border region. Yeah, we're definitely got a lot more issues to get to there, but a lot of other things going on this week as well. Again, going to already do for that first break of the hour here right now, and a lot more we'll be getting to, including our guests coming up here shortly. Going to be talking with Team RWB, as in red, white, and blue. Yeah, Kathy Codry doing a decent approximation of the comic strip example of what I want to say there. In any case, but yes, the interview today with Team RWB, as in red, white, and blue, on their literally moving, and decide for yourself if you find it personally moving, tribute for September 11th and all the things that have happened in the aftermath policy-wise and more. So that's our interview today and coming up after this break. So do for that first one right now. You are again tuned into Talk El Paso, airing live here on News Radio 690 KTSM, back in the saddle after that weekend. So stay tuned. More on this after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
On the I-10 eastbound at Loma Land, a crash blocking the right lane and causing a huge backup. Stop and go back to Hunter Viscount exit with 10-minute delays. El Paso fires on the scene at Gateway East at North Lee Trevino Drive. And you got stop and go traffic. Slow traffic on the 10 eastbound from the Trans Mountain to the 54 Patriot with 12-minute delays. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Want to save 50% on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Visit Blindster through September 8th to save 50% off any order during their Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, this message is for you. The most recent legislation passed by Congress has $80 billion in funding to more than double the size of the IRS. This will make the IRS larger than the Pentagon, State Department, FBI, and Border Control combined. If you are in trouble with the IRS, now is the time to call Civic Tax Relief.
I owe the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Their tax resolution specialists can stop the IRS from taking money out of your paycheck and remove liens from your property.
With Civic Tax Relief, they were able to save me upwards of $80,000 that I would have had to pay.
For your free tax relief information, call now. 800-583-9917. That's 800-583-9917. Don't wait. Call 800-583-9917. 800-583-9917.
A construction site is a noisy place where things can be misinterpreted. We need to redo the drywall. It can sound a lot like,
rewire the hull? They're firing, Paul.
Wait, what did I do? Or even,
Install a waterfall. Whose dumb idea was this?
be on the same page at every stage with Autodesk. From the designers to the field crew to the owner of the finished building. Autodesk Construction Cloud gives everyone clarity. Now, how about that drywall?
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk, back live here in studio, back in the saddle here today. As we're talking about a lot of things. Again, hope you all had a restful weekend because, other things are just not stopping around here. But there is still time to pause and reflect occasionally, and a whole lot more issues here. More comments coming in on our issues of the day that we'll definitely be getting to, don't worry here, including John Browsden. There's a agreement and disagreement I'm going to make with your statement there, but preview what coming up after this. But again, taking time to remember the important things, such as, this past weekend is one example, but of course, we have an upcoming one, September 11th, and all of the things associated with it coming this Sunday this year, so already on the weekend, but there are still going to, of course, be many commemorations and events happening around that. And one in particular, got the chance to talk with some of the local organizers about it, what they will be doing. And again, I've been using the phrase moving tribute. If you think that's at all cryptic, they'll explain it fully here. And again, I was able to talk with them earlier last week. So here is that interview. Enjoy. Joining me now, we have Rachel Delisle, chapter captain, and Joel Loya, member of Team RWB in El Paso. Thank you all very much for joining us here today.
Thank you for the opportunity. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Absolutely happy to talk to you all because particularly in this season, we got coming up some major events coming here. Two major points we want to get to here right off the bat here. What is Team RWB and what is that major event that you all have coming up on a very important date?
Team RWB is Team Red, White, and Blue. We are a national veteran service organization. Our mission is to enrich veterans' lives, and our vision is to be the premier health and wellness community for veterans. So what that looks like in real life is we host social and physical activities in the community. The team is open to anyone to join. You do not have to be a veteran or even affiliated with veterans. We just ask that you are willing to support that community. There is never a cost to join. The events are free. And you can find us at teamrwb.org. And then the event we have coming up is a 9/11 moving tribute. It will be on Sunday, September 11th. And our mission that day is to keep the flag moving from sun up to sunset in memory of the event of September 11th. A lot of our membership obviously are veterans, and their lives were strongly impacted, as most Americans were, by these events. And a lot of them joined the service in response to 9/11. And we just want to honor those who lost their lives as well as draw attention to those events.
So moving tribute here is kind of a double entendre and kind of on purpose here because a lot of people may think, and a moving tribute as emotionally moving here, but you also mean it in the literal sense here is that the purpose and the event you're going to be doing is from, again, as you calculate it, from about 6:30 a.m. that day until about 6:48 exactly, actually, until about 7:18 p.m. that day. You are literally going to, through the group assembled out there and those that come and go from it, going to be keeping the flag in motion by people either moving it around different areas and different parts, including starting around Fort Bliss, right?
Yes, sir. We will start at the parade field on Fort Bliss, and there will be options for all fitness levels. So we will walk the flag, we will jog, run with the flag. We have some members that will ruck. And then around 9 o'clock that morning, we will actually cycle the flag from Fort Bliss to the Veterans Park on Salem Drive in El Paso, and we will remain there for the rest of the day. And same thing, we will be switching off the flag. Anybody that comes out will have the opportunity to help move the flag and hold it, go at the pace they would like. We will make sure no one will be left behind, and it's definitely a family-friendly event, all ages. We just ask that while you're moving the flag, you talk about what 9/11 means to you personally. And with the children, a lot of them don't remember, obviously, these events. So it's a good opportunity to share those stories.
So when you say talk about it there, so I mean, obviously the physical exertion and the people, moving it around, different physical levels, like you mentioned there, but it's not just a kind of a silent repose thing is what you're then seems like you're going for there. You want people to be actively sharing through it and connecting with those around them, it sounds like.
Correct. Our main mission is to build community through health and wellness. And we've learned over the years that for most of us, it's easier to talk when we're doing something physical rather than maybe sitting around a table. And everybody responds differently, but it definitely feels more organic to me personally to be on a hike talking about my day or talking about life events than maybe sitting in an office. So we encourage everybody to share as they are comfortable. And that, is part of definitely the mission for the day.
So obviously a focus there on veterans and people who were, affected directly by 9/11. But it's also interesting that you mentioned high school students there as well, because as has become, it's just one of those changes of life factors, even personally here, realizing that many of them at this point in time were not born yet by the time that this 9/11, September 11th attacks in 2001 happened. So for their parts then, if they're wanting to participate in this here, maybe not so much remembrances, but what are you wanting them to talk about?
We would just like to share how the event impacted our lives. I know I was sitting at work a couple years ago, and one of my younger coworkers was in college at the time and doing a paper, and she said, "What year was September 11th?" And it really gave me pause to realize it's something that, you know, was a huge part of my life as a military spouse and a military brat. Wasn't on someone else's radar. So I think it's a great opportunity to learn about the event, to learn about what happened and how it's probably affected their parents' lives. And also, you know, we learn from our history moving forward, how the nation came together in the days following, and hopefully we continue to do so. And, you know, it's important also to respect our service members and the firefighters, the police department, all the first responders that were on site, and all the citizens that in the days after just came together and lent support and picked each other up. So that is our intention, is to share that.
Again, if you're just joining us, that right there is Rachel Delisle, chapter captain. Also joining us here by phone is Joe Loya, member both of Team RWB El Paso. You want to find out any more about this, including, of course, this upcoming event that we are discussing here, the Team Red, White, and Blue 9/11 Moving Tribute, both literally and figuratively, going to be coming up here on September 11th, that coming Sunday, going from very early in the morning, organizing at about 6:30 a.m. and on Fort Bliss, and going until sundown at a Veterans Park on Salem Drive. Again, for all the details and information on them, go and visit teamrwb.org. That's Team Red, White, and Blue is what it stands for, but teamrwb.org here. So, Joe, we have talked previously about some other things here, but how did you come to be involved, and what made you want to be involved in something like this as a member?
Yes, sir. Well, as a Navy veteran, I have a huge passion for the veteran community. You know, I know I've been on your show before for the Travis Manion 9/11 race last year, and I love the veteran community, and I really love Team RWB because, I mean, you know, as military, and when you're in the military, you're part of a team, you're part of a group, and a lot of times, you know, these people that have been in for several years, I mean, they get out and there's no more team. and so, you know, they're a little lost. I mean, I didn't serve a full, 20 year, I didn't retire. But I mean, I understand. And so to have, a wonderful organization like Team RWB around, that offers so many different activities. And even if there's an activity that you are interested in, you can create it. I mean, if you like cycling, there's cycling. If you like running, there's running. There's something for everyone. And like I said, I mean, even if it's not there, I mean, you can create it yourself. And I just think it's beautiful because, again, the veteran community, which El Paso has a very big community, a very veteran community, I think it's vital and it's important, and especially as we honor this particular moment and this tribute.
So, will you be running the flag there that day as well?
Yes, sir. I am coordinating. I'm helping coordinate the event, and so I mean, I've been involved in other events as a member, but on this one, I asked Miss Rachel to, allow me to be, involved a little bit more. And I mean, I'm honored to be, on the team that's coordinating this event. And I will definitely be out there for sure at Veterans Park.
Absolutely here. So again, with the details of this, and then get to the larger overarching mission there of Team RWB, as you mentioned there, Rachel, about trying to be America's leading health and wellness community for veterans. I mean, we talked a little bit about, sharing of stories and what you want to happen while doing this run here, but how do you feel that then doing this kind of thing, these remembrances, or even just this activity, helps achieve those kind of some of those larger goals that you all have?
I believe, we process by talking to each other and building community. Another thing, as Joe was talking, veterans learn leadership and they learn service when they're active duty. And that is something that doesn't stop just because they hang up the uniform. So one of the great things about this team is because of that component of our membership, we just immediately have these servant leaders that make our WB great. And they forged that community and spending time together. And we've learned over COVID that you can maintain a community virtually, but it's not the same as meeting in person. And having that one-on-one contact and having a family around you is really tantamount to our mental health as well as our physical health. And we know that physical health greatly impacts our mental health. I know the joke around here in my household, when I start acting a little crazy, my husband looks at me and goes, "Hey, time to go for a bike ride or a run." And it immediately resets me. And I think that is the same for all of for everybody in the community. So post-COVID in El Paso, I know the runs are getting busier again and the races are seeing more people come back out. But a lot of people got sedentary, and this is a great opportunity to once again start moving, become involved with your community. We do a lot of community service events on top of the physical and social events. So we, as Joe said, have a little bit of something for everyone, and we encourage people to step up and lead, and we are certainly willing to invest in helping them develop those leadership skills.
So if people want to come out and be a part of this event, you mentioned that, no one left behind kind of situation you're dealing with there. How can they do so? Do they need to pre-register, or how does it work for you all?
We would prefer you pre-register just because we will have snacks and water and electrolytes on hand just so I can plan ahead a little. And you can do so by going to teamrwb.org. There is an app that you can install. Again, it is completely free. You will not get inundated with emails. You can actually opt out of them completely if you would like. And that will allow you to see the sign-ups for the event. But if you don't sign up, it's okay. By all means, the most important thing is just to come out. We're not asking you to necessarily join that day. If you just want to come out and support the moving tribute, that would be amazing. If you decide once you come out, hey, this is something I'm interested in investing a little more time in, I'll be there all day. So I'll be glad to help you get signed up or tell you about some other events that you might be interested in. I know sometimes people don't like to join immediately, and that's perfectly okay. Come try us out. And this is a great opportunity to do so. We also have Team RWB El Paso Facebook page for those that are on Facebook, and all the information is on the Facebook page as well, and on our IG account, which is also Team RWB El Paso.
So if people want to get involved, and beyond this event as well, want to do more stuff like that, what other events and efforts do you all have, and how can people get even further involved with those?
So again, the app is the best avenue to stay informed on what's going on. We have a national app, but when you sign in, it registers you by the area you live, and it'll give you all the events within, and you can set the radius, but it goes up to 150 miles. And that will show you what we have going on. One of our signature events is Scenic Sunday every Sunday morning at 7:15, we meet and do Scenic together. We get together at Noonan Park, and people walk it, run it, ruck it. We've had people come out and cycle it before. And then we generally go to a local restaurant for breakfast afterwards. We have Saturday morning trail runs that were reoccurring. This coming Friday, we have a flag walk run on Fort Bliss. There's a cycling event, I believe, Saturday. And then we also support local community events. For instance, we had Eagles at the Over the Edge event this past weekend, and the triathlon, Eagle in the Sun. So again, the app is the best place to find out about it. And people are also more than welcome to reach out to me directly. My email is rachel.delisle@teamrwb.org. That's another avenue to get in touch with us.
Absolutely here. So again, that's Rachel Delisle, chapter captain, and also speaking there, Joe Loya, member with Team RWB El Paso. You want to find out any of the information we're talking about, either with their ongoing things, or of course that 9/11 moving tribute that will be coming up Sunday, September 11th. They're going from about 6:30 in the morning to a little bit after 7, sun up to sundown. Absolutely that day here. Find all that information again, trwb.org. Again, teamrwb.org. And again, Rachel, as you were mentioning there, if people want to reach out to you directly, it's rachel.delisle@teamrwb.org, right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all both very much for taking the time to speak with us today about this event, what's coming up, and how people can get more involved with it here today.
Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Joe, for being a great member.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
And again, thanks again to Team RWB for speaking to us about that there. Again, that's coming up again this coming Sunday, which, of course, is September 11th here. That's going to put us overdue for that next break right now. So coming out of this break, getting to more of some of those daily news items. And again, some of those things going on, a school board decision affecting a controversial set of statements and the video that prompted the outcry along with it for a Franklin High teacher here. So more on that and a whole lot more, including some of the comments here after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olguin with your KFOX 14 News Update. The mayor of Anthony, Texas, had a bond hearing today after facing a charge of family violence. Mayor Benjamin Cedillo Romero was arrested Sunday by the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. He was booked into the detention facility on Sunday. The victim told the jail magistrate that Romero had pulled a knife on her and slashed her tires. The victim also told the judge that he was physically violent with her on multiple occasions. Agents with the U.S. Border Patrol found a 4-year-old migrant boy abandoned near the border barrier in Santa Teresa. Officials say the boy, who's from Ecuador, was abandoned by what they said was ruthless smugglers. It's unclear when the boy was located by Border Patrol. Agents say he was in possession of his passport and his parents' contact information. This has been your KFOX 14 News Update. I'm Robert Olguin.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
I-10 eastbound's got stop-and-go traffic that begins right after Hawkins Boulevard because of an earlier crash at I-10 eastbound in Loma Land, blocking the right lane and causing a backup. 7-minute delays right now. Slow traffic in general, I-10 eastbound between Trans Mountain and the 54 Patriot with 14-minute delays. And an accident just reported I-10 eastbound at Geronimo. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
After a pretty nice holiday weekend, our drier weather pattern will continue as we head into the middle part of the week. Expect a mostly clear sky, and temperatures will also be pleasant overnight as they drop into the low to middle 60s by early Wednesday morning. Coming up tonight, we'll talk about how long this drier weather pattern lasts, along with warmer than average temperatures. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
This report is sponsored by Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4. The brand new Galaxy Z Flip 4 is here. Capture hands-free content from every angle with Flex Mode. The sleek foldable design lets you make your device conveniently compact. Visit Samsung.com to order your Galaxy Z Flip 4 today.
This is Cecilia Abbott. Greg Abbott is my husband and our governor. Greg and I met at the University of Texas. We married soon after. I came to know what Greg Abbott was really made of when I saw how he responded to his accident. At just 26, a massive tree fell on him, paralyzing Greg for life. His recovery took months, but Greg never gave up. He often says challenges don't define our lives. Instead, it's how we respond to those challenges that defines us. Greg and I have known triumph as well. The joys of our marriage and adopting our daughter Audrey have shown me the depths of his love and commitment. Greg and Audrey have a great relationship. He's taught her how to deal with the trials of life. Hard work, perseverance, and family. Those values define Greg Abbott, and they guide him every day as governor of Texas.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Greg Abbott.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., and let's talk El Paso.
Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Visit Blindster now through September 8th to save 50% off any order during their Labor Day sale. Blindster.com. This report is sponsored by Blindster.
Weather and traffic info. You need it? We have it. Traffic and weather all day. Stay informed. News Radio 690 KTSM.
Teens in foster care will love you, even if you don't know the lingo.
Dad bod. Noun. The result of the occasional donut, always washed down with confidence.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council. Visit adoptuskids.org.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you all so very much for joining us here, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or join us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days. Don't mean to sound dismissive on that, but really whatever works for you, whether it be facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. You can comment there, and we'll have the phone lines open a little bit later here. But in the meantime, a lot of comments coming in over on those social pages here, including John Browselton. Again, reference to, again, our guest this hour and this show today. Again, do appreciate it with Team RWB with, again, the moving tribute, both literal and figurative. I guess figurative is up to you, but I think I would find it that way myself. Happening this coming Sunday, sun up to sundown. And again, all those details, you can find it over on their website, teamrwb.org. And again, if you want to find any more of those details, again, they'll be organizing specifically at Veterans Memorial Park at 6:48 a.m. And then they'll be heading over to other parts of there. And they got the whole route and everything listed online here. Sorry, they actually will start at the Fort Bliss Parade Field and then end up at Veterans Memorial Park. So get that straight here. Again, if you want to participate, they've already got signups available, about half of them full for the actual carrying of the flag here. So if you want to be a part of that, again, look for Team RWB and the local event here online. Or again, you can email Rachel Delisle at rachel.delisle@teamrwb.org. At least, and so John Browse, kind of relation to that, saying Pearl Harbor was only remembered because the U.S. military celebrated every year. 9/11 is only celebrated in New York for the most part. It will slowly disappear from America's memory bank. Okay, I'm not going to take too much issue. I think I take the way you intend it with the celebrated. Better word choice might be commemorated, but again, I'm not trying to quibble with you on that. But, okay, I guess as a student of history, I definitely remember, I mean, December 7th, 1941 is a very important date in a whole lot of ways. And I guess there's two ways to think about this. One, that, yes, the passage of time does dull memories. Those that are born after an event happens that did not live through it, or even those very young at the time, won't have the same kind of memories or understanding of the way the world was. I barely do, really. I was in middle school at the time. I remember coming down the stairs and the TV news was already on in the morning, which it wasn't in my house, surprisingly enough. And seeing that, and then the response at school that day from teachers either trying to teach through it or Sarah Jane Barno, my speech teacher from middle school, saying, just having the TV on, saying, we're not doing anything else today, guys. There is nothing else that I could focus on here today. And I kind of appreciate the perspective in the long run. But the idea of it, I mean, the passage of time dulls all things. I mean, the events of World War I have passed out of living memory. So, sure, that will eventually happen, though those who are students of history will hopefully remember it. Though the phrase, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it, is, of course, an important phrase. But the corollary that I think of anyways, that those who do study history are doomed to watch everyone else repeat it while not learning the lessons of the history they studied. Not quite as pithy, but I think it is accurate there. But I think that for the most part, people have not exactly forgotten it. I think that the impact year over year, just kind of like any other traumatic event in a personal life, gets dulled year after year. Though how it works societally, well, I guess only time will tell there. It's only one I've really lived through that way here. And on our previous story there, Maria Coleman also chiming in saying, I realize many people may feel desperate, but how can a parent surrender their small child to the cartel? With social media and cell phones, adults have to be aware of the dangers. Sending kids to facilitate chain migration is just despicable. Part of the blame is on the administration who facilitates the lawlessness. None of this is compassionate. I agree with you there on many points here, but as I often do, I'm going to hold off on full judgment here. Maybe they worked together and ended up being pulled apart by the cartel as part of their new circumstances of trying to continue to extort money. I mean, the full circumstances are not known yet, is all I'm really saying there. And the knee-jerk reaction may be, how could this even happen? How could this be allowed to happen? But in some cases, as we keep seeing, the bailouts, the stash houses, and the further extortion attempts that handle here, again, I don't necessarily have a lot of of the method being used here, but the majority of the blame, at least the way I see it, falls squarely on the cartels for doing the action. I mean, sure, there should be more be done on this end. You're not going to find me disagreeing with that. But the idea of the cartels being like, oh, well, they're just evil and we have to accept that. I'm never going to accept that here. And John Brownson saying a little bit earlier, saying it's too bad that the El Paso sector border patrol doesn't put as much effort into catching illegals as they do from saving illegals from their own destruction. I'm going to dispute you slightly there, as I promised that I would bring that up in any case here, because sure, we talk about some of the major incidents of saving, of people being treated after like being pushed over or falling over the border barrier, and those are significant. They make a lot of noise and a lot of attention in local media and such. But I'm going to say that the majority of the work being done by Border Patrol, CBP, federal law enforcement, and immigration and border security officials in our area is stuff that we do not see on the day-to-day. So sure, there definitely is those ones that come to the most notice, but that's nowhere near, and I can confidently say that nowhere near the majority, even a significant minority portion of the work that they do here. So entitled to your opinion, but I'm going to disagree with you on that finer point here. So at least one other thing I want to get to before we hit that next break here is, again, the situation Franklin High School and, what EPISD is doing here. Again, reporting from our news partners over there at KFOX 14, the Board of Trustees for EPISD has approved to move forward in terminating a teacher at Franklin High School who's, a portion of her lesson, about 18, 20 seconds, went viral last month here. And so that's saying that Superintendent Diana Saavedra will be discussing terminating Amber Parker's employment contract with Parker after that clip that was up there involving the whole minor attracted person maps. And it was taken a lot of ways. Context often lacking. You take any 18-second snippet of this show, and I'm sure you can make it sound awful, which is why I am very focused on having the full discussion and really making it so that we fully explore the ideals here. Because, yeah, you take a snapshot of anything, it can make it just sound freaking awful, frankly. But I mean, I think the debate is up for it there, even though this does impact a person's life here. So curious to know what you all have to think about this here, because I mean, some of the response from the students in that class was saying that the point was being made about how this is the kind of thing that could be allowed. So I know there's a lot of debate on this here, so we're going to go ahead and take that next break right now because we're already a bit overdue for that here. More comments coming in, more calls on the line, and we will go ahead and open up those phone lines to those phone calls. If you're wanting to get on the line, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Still a lot of stop-and-go traffic on the I-10 eastbound this afternoon. Starts at Hawkins Boulevard. 10-minute delays to Lomaland because of an earlier crash eastbound I-10 at Lomaland. Gateway south at Diana. An accident there is blocking the right lane. And El Paso Fires responding to an injury accident Gateway east at the Zaragoza on-ramp. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Summer is winding down, but business needs keep ramping up. Check out Indeed, the all-in-one hiring solution that helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
There's only one dental office in El Paso where beautiful, top-quality, long-lasting dental implants are very affordable. 1995implants.com. Other places charge $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, up to $6,000 per tooth. Please don't ever pay that much for dental implants. Instead, come to 1995implants.com. Our price includes the implant, abutment, and crown, plus a free consultation with the dentist, free standard x-rays, and convenient financing plans to fit your budget. With help from 1995implants.com, you'll no longer have cracked or missing teeth, and you'll finally be able to say goodbye to loose, old, wobbly, worn-out, uncomfortable dentures. If you're ready for a brand new smile that family and friends will rave about, then come to 1995implants.com, conveniently located right here in El Paso. For more information, see our website, 1995implants.com. That's 1995implants.com. Se habla español.
Hey, Sean Hannity here from my dear friends at Lone Star Transfer. I love these folks. You know, with all of us traveling so differently these days, timeshares, they're kind of becoming a thing of the past. Now, if you're stuck in one, you don't have to be. Our friends at Lone Star Transfer, they can help you. Now, with skyrocketing assessments and maintenance fees, still owning a timeshare is very risky. And for over a decade, Lone Star Transfer, they have successfully helped thousands and thousands of owners legally, permanently get out of their burdensome timeshare. They have an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. Now, Lone Star Transfer is a family-owned company. They have earned their reputation for delivering first-class customer service. They're going to guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation, 833-594-0075. That's 833-594-0075, or online at lonestartransfer.com.
Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Visit Blindster now through September 8th to save 50% off any order during their Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. A lot of commentary coming on there, including Kathy Codry, not in favor of the term and use of it, MAP, for that whole minor attracted persons here. But again, let me just read you the quote there from, again, our news partners over at KFOX 14 of what the student said in response to that video as it was posted here, saying she, the teacher, was expressing how it was ridiculous about how we, society, might not be able to call people pedophiles, that we, society, will probably have to start calling them MAPs because it could become offensive to them, pedophiles. The class agreed. Quoting there, Ryan Ruvalcaba, a junior at Franklin High School. So again, context, it's very important, though there's certainly been a lot of debate here, and as this situation progresses, I am sure it will continue here. But let's get back to those phone lines now. Again, that number to call if you want to get on the line, full up at the moment, as I'm sure there's a lot of steam to blow off, as we've already got this short week well underway. 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We do have Ben on the east side here with us right now. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. I just got an email in my email box from the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons. That's AAPS, if anybody wants to look it up. And it says, tell Governor Newsom to veto AB 2098 and protect physician freedom of speech. And it's something you can sign, even though you're not in California. They're asking you to sign this and make a statement. According to this thing, it says, I am writing to you to veto AB 2098. Ultimately, this dangerous bill will impede patients' access to medical care and advice from their trusted physicians. Increasingly, medical professionals face threats to their ability to care for patients when they speak out about important issues that impact their patients and their practice. Attempts to intimidate and silence doctors must end, and that is why AB 2098 must be vetoed. The bottom line is politics should never supersede scientific inquiry, clinical observations, and the Hippocratic Oath. Open debate is crucial to the advancement of medicine. Science dies in darkness.
Yeah, and
I encourage everybody to look that up. Sign that petition. And they're coming at us again with new vaccines, making it to where, and also laws now that make it to where that if your physician prescribes something that's not governmentally approved, then they're going to come after your physician and take away their license.
there's a couple ways I think about this. I mean, we've often had talks about, many different things, such as other supplements, ivermectin, those kind of things that came up in like the real heated moments of the pandemic and those issues here. And for them to be, let's just say, there's a level of it being said that, well, essentially politics on the other side thing of the approval part of it, of like, well, it's not coming from us, therefore we can't. Reminded of a passage from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I won't get into right now, but the idea of, well, we don't understand it, it didn't come from us, therefore we want to prove it for you is bad in its own right here. But I will also say that there's a level of regulation I do appreciate whenever it comes to making sure things are produced carefully and properly and not coming out of the back of someone's truck kind of thing here. But again, balance, as in most things, is very much appreciated. Swinging far to one way or the other, and things start to go very bad and awry here. But I definitely agree with you on the statement of that, keeping, politics out of scientific inquiry, and science dies in darkness, truth dies in darkness, all these kind of phrases, definitely more persuasive on how we should think about things than not, in my opinion.
Well, also, and I've said this before COVID, if you got sick in the morning and you wanted to call your doctor and you asked them, doc, I got these symptoms and everything. What do you think I should take? Instead of calling your doctor, did you call the mayor of the city? Did you call the county judge? Did you call Joe Biden? No, you called your doctor. He's the one supposed to, and all these and these are repurposed drugs. They've used these things for other diseases, other problems and everything throughout history. But for some reason, COVID made it to where they couldn't use what they thought was actually going to help. So these doctors are now facing getting their license revoked because they might say that, I've got plenty of information that says this will work, and it's up to you. It's not for this particular. It's a repurposed drug, but I've got plenty of information that says that. I put my faith in my doctor instead of what my mayor says.
Fair enough here. Well, appreciate the point in the call there. Got to take that next break now here. You have a good one.
Also, one thing real quick. Let's go, Brandon.
All right. Do appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there. All right. We got to take that break now to hit that top of the hour. So we'll be back after the top of the hour with more talk about all the things that we do here. If you want to get on the line again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Still a lot of stop-and-go traffic on the I-10 eastbound this afternoon. Starts at Hawkins Boulevard. 10-minute delays to Lomaland because of an earlier crash eastbound I-10 at Lomaland. Gateway south at Diana. An accident there is blocking the right lane. And El Paso Fires responding to an injury accident Gateway east at the Zaragoza on-ramp. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Hello?
Mike, this is Norma Jean at Sergio Lewis Body Shop near the airport. Have you seen Sergio?
I'm expecting him in a few minutes to cut a new commercial.
I'm really worried about him, Mike. He really believes he's a poet. It's gone to his head.
There's plenty of room up there. Anyways, his poetry isn't that bad.
Will you please have him call the shop?
Sure, Norma.
That's Norma Jean, Mike. Gotta go.
Yee, she's feisty. Hey, Sergio, there you are.
Hey, Mike, I have this great new poem. Check this out, man. Sometimes even our darkest moments are enlightening. Hey, what's so funny, man?
Nothing, Sergio, really. By the way, Norma Jean called.
Really? What did she want?
Oh, she was just telling me what a big fan she is of your poetry, Sergio. Sergio Lewis Body Shop at 3800 Admiral near the airport, where it's the customer's choice, not the insurance company's, and there's a lifetime warranty on all collision repair. 593-0191.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day.
I don't watch television, so I get
News
all
on
my
the hour
news from
and
you.
a half. News
Traffic
radio
and weather all
day. News radio
KTSM
690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBA NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. An Omicron-specific booster for young children is still in development, according to the White House's chief medical advisor. Meantime, CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says the COVID-19 death rate is too high for a vaccine-treatable disease. Speaking about the new Omicron-specific booster, Dr. Walensky stressed the importance of Americans over the age of 60 getting the new shot that'll be widely available by the end of the week. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he supports the decision to fire the chief of the Uvalde School District Police Department.
He responded incorrectly to what happened, and it led to a greater loss of life, and it was appropriate that he was terminated.
The governor said Pete Arredondo did not follow the Columbine protocol adopted after the Colorado mass shooting, which requires law enforcement to go to the shooter and eliminate them as soon as possible. The family of kidnapped heiress Eliza Fletcher is breaking their silence after the discovery of her body. Memphis police said Fletcher's body was located while a suspect is under arrest and facing first-degree murder charges. In a statement, the family said, "We are heartbroken and devastated by this senseless loss." There was a 2-hour delay this morning in the start of primary day voting in Massachusetts. Lisa Taylor reports.
Town officials in Barnstable on Cape Cod couldn't access the ballots because they were locked inside a broken vault. Hundreds of emergency ballots were printed for distribution to the town's 13 polling sites. The Secretary of State's office was reportedly considering asking for court approval to allow polls in Barnstable to remain open past 8 p.m. I'm Lisa Taylor.
A man is going to prison for his role in last year's Capitol riot after he was turned in by his ex. Richard Machete was caught by authorities after he called his ex a moron. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. Bed Bath & Beyond has a new interim chief financial officer after the death of its former CFO. Chief accounting officer Laura Crossan now holds the position previously occupied by Gustavo Arnal. He committed suicide last week after jumping off the iconic New York City skyscraper known as the Jenga Building. Officials say the 52-year-old and others had been the subject of a lawsuit over an alleged scheme to inflate the company's share price. California water officials are helping to meet increasing demand for power as residents deal with the heat. Jordan Christmas has more.
New power generators have been activated for the first time in Roseville and in Yuba City. The generators were activated by the California Department of Water Resources on Monday at the request of CalISO. The temporary generators aim to help meet the increasing demand for power as residents deal with the ongoing hot weather.
Jordan Christmas reporting. A Brooklyn, New York bishop robbed of $1 million in jewelry while giving a sermon is suing doubters for defamation. Sarah Lee Kessler explains.
Bishop Lamore Miller Whitehead was live streaming a sermon last July when he was ripped off at the pulpit. The robbers got a $75,000 Rolex, crosses dripping in precious gems, and more. Or did they? A YouTuber named Jives claims the flashy bishop is still wearing the same bling. Another online personality, Larry Reed, claims the bishop, who's done time for ID theft and grand larceny, is a scammer. Whitehead is suing the pair for $20 million each, claiming their statements are false and defamatory.
Meta's annual virtual reality conference is happening next month. That's according to a post on Facebook by CEO Mark Zuckerberg. In his post, it looks like he's wearing a headset known as Project Cambria. Zuckerberg had previously told podcast host Joe Rogan that it would come out this fall. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
Now your chance at $1,000 and a trip to our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Text the nationwide keyword WIN to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's WIN to 200-200.
Get ready to win your way into our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival. September 23rd and 24th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Stream it free on the CW app and CWTV.com. Keep listening for the next chance to win your way and $1,000 spending cash. See you there.
Having the time of your life is more rewarding than ever when you visit any of the MGM resorts nationwide. With MGM Rewards, dine, stay, play, and earn on all of it. Get details at MGMRewards.com. Subject to earning and redemption limitations applicable to certain purchases and in certain states.
Freedom of speech lives here.
To me, freedom of speech is being able to say anything you want.
El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Want to save 50% on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Visit Blindster through September 8th to save 50% off any order during their Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
Did you know audio memory lasts 6 times longer than visual memory? That's why businesses advertise with iHeartMedia, the #1 audio company in the country. Reach consumers with radio, podcasting, streaming, and more. Make your business a household name and visit iHeartAdvertising.com or call 844-BUY-RADIO. Grow your reach, grow your business. Call iHeartMedia today. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com or call 844-BUY-RADIO.
Beat the heat and lower your energy bill by circulating cool air with ceiling and portable fans.
News never stops, and now you never have to take a break from the station that brings you the news. Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to any station, anytime, all for free. Want even more, but don't want to pay? Good, we've got that. Discover podcasts from your favorite radio hosts, podcasts that take you further into the story, podcasts that give you stories you never knew existed. Always free. Don't pay for the news you want and the stations you love. Download the free iHeartRadio app today. Available now in the App Store.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso. Also, twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. We mention all those places because they're where you can get at us, see the video, the production we do. Yeah, there is video along with this. I know we're primarily on the radio, and this is not to say we forget the radio audience either, but you want to get a little bit more interactive, more into it with us. A lot of comments coming in over there, including Maria Coleman, Ted Kors, Kathy Codry, Barbara Carrasco, John Brazelton, and more Flaco Jimenez, Ida Beza Gardner a little bit earlier, dropping those likes and reacts. We do appreciate Ted Kors, Ida Beza Gardner, Flaco Jimenez, Monica Cervantes, and Robbie Flores. I mean, you don't have to do either of those. Frankly, if you're already tuned in here, you're ahead of the curve in a whole lot of ways, but you also want to prefer to call in, such as say you're driving and have hands-free. I am not going to be the reason any of y'all crash out there, so don't even think about it. Don't even do it. But if you want to call in, you can do so safely. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Also, Ione Graham commenting in there. And the lines are full up at the moment, but if you want to squeeze in, we will be taking those calls through the end of the hour here. So let's get back on the line here right now. Make sure I'm looking at the right person. We do have Frankie and Masia on the line here with us right now. Frankie, thanks for joining us.
All right, right out of the box. In about 4 days, a significant date in American history happened on September the 11th, 2001. All right? Now, I am being in the business back in the day, and I know how this stuff works with intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our guys and girls in the United States of America are working overtime right now to make sure no nefarious nonsense is going to happen either side of that date. Now, what makes it difficult is because of this nutjob Dunny Dotard doofus and 10,000 documents that he took with him that nobody knows where the hell they went, right? Now, our friends out there, because we can do a lot of stuff, but our friends out there have to help us. And our friends are saying, wait a minute. You people are so screwball with your intelligence because you've got a nut job like this. We're not going to give you any intelligence. Now, they're not going to do that in the real McCoy. But I am very, very scared, nervous, if you will, that something's going to happen, and I want this thing dropped dead on the doorstep of Donnie Dotard in Mar-a-Lago if something does happen to the United States. So what do you think of that, befuddled Ben? That's what I want to say.
Fair enough. And again, any issues when involving secret documents, I mean, anything classified is classified, generally for a reason, because you get higher in classification, it gets more important here. But I will say this, until there's indication of any, say, leakage, of anything getting out there, and there have been more than a few times that's happened, the whole solar wind hack that happened recently, in the recent years anyway, definitely of a level of concern. I mean, the IRS just had an incident where some taxpayers' private info was posted in the clear online here. So there has been no shortage of leaks and spillage of information, so to speak, in classified or PII talk here. So sure, if there's indication that there is a direct link back to any of those documents, any things that was mishandled, I'll definitely share a level of concern. But let's just say any incident, as you're saying there, I'm definitely going to be, until proven otherwise, assuming some of these other things, because I mean, the solar wind hack, so to speak, here went on for almost an indeterminate period of time. They don't even really fully know, or really it's not admitted, the full scope that it was here. So, and also there's the whole, I used to do some work for the Office of Background Investigation under the Office of Professional Management and stuff like that. And so the way that there have been even hacks of that department here, the federal government has been a lot more civ-like than I would like for it to be in a lot of ways here. So sure, if things can be linked back into specific mishandling, those involved should be punished here. But if we're just assuming any incident would come from this, it doesn't quite fit the bill in my mind.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but when I was in the business, intelligence work in the federal government was literally 100% godly sacrosanct. You did not screw around with that stuff. This was the most significant stuff ever when I was in the business. Everybody that worked with me, around me, for me, under me, everybody understood that. And you cannot be screwing around with this kind of stupidity from this Cheeto and then throwing around stuff like he thinks it's a bunch of popcorn. This is nonsense. That's what I want to say.
Well, fair enough. Well, thank you for the point in the call. You have a good one there.
All right.
I mean, again, proper handling of things is very paramount here. And yes, there's a whole debate and discussion to be about if things were declassified, how they were. But I mean, just to say that things were declassified doesn't necessarily mean, in my mind, that means that it's able to go anywhere, because there's still some very serious stuff that could be declassified that absolutely should not be. So this is why, among many other things, I want to see the full results, even if maybe in this case, I will never see the full results. I want it fully investigated and hopefully proper action taken here. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath on me specifically ever getting to find out, and well, general public overall, I guess I should put it that way here. Let's get to another call on the line here. That number to call again is 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. We do have Barbara on the west side here with us right now. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew, for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a little bit late, but I wanted to make a comment on President Biden's speech last week.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that people can say that's positive about it. But I was thinking, after he made the speech, I don't believe that he was just addressing only the MAGA patriots, because there are lots of other people out there, including Democrats, independents, and libertarians, who believe as we do. And what I mean is, who doesn't want to have their wages higher than inflation? Who doesn't want their 401k growing instead of losing value in it? Who doesn't want low prices at the gas pump, at the food store, and our utility bills? I mean, he said that we wanted to take the United States backward instead of forward, and that we, I guess, didn't believe in law and order. We're the ones who have been preaching law and order from the very beginning. We want safe communities. We want law and order when it comes to the border. We don't want stash houses in El Paso. Mm-hmm. And I'll bet you the majority of the people in the United States of America don't want fentanyl crossing our borders and killing their children and their loved ones. And then what about parents? Parents all over the United States don't want to be called terrorists. They want to be the sole decision makers in their children's lives and not hang it over to a teacher or a stranger that they don't even know. So I think there are millions upon millions of others that feel the same way as a conservative. Just being an individual and take the politics out of it, we want the same things. So he just demonized, in my opinion, a good 75-80% of the voters in the United States of America. And that was just outrageous how the backdrop, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was just a horrible speech that demonized more than just the MAGA patriots. So let's not, pretend that it's only Republicans and only conservatives that are the bad people, because we're not, because we feel just like other people do, just like a normal parent does. And that was just, I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
I mean, I think there was tried to be a fine line drawn during the speech and about the whole MAGA patriots or MAGA Republicans versus everyone else. Whether or not that actually functioned or it actually came across that way is certainly up for debate here. And I kind of had an assumption in the back of my mind hearing that, besides kind of chuckling at the bullhorn going on in the background that you could vaguely hear, and was interested that he addressed it directly. But the idea, because honestly, it smacked more to me than anything else of, if not the exact statements, of the kind of sentiment behind the whole, basket of deplorables thought here, which I have no doubt that he thinks that way or others around him think that way. But just as a political statement, don't think that worked out so well last time. So very interesting that it's trying to kind of be floated there again. And I don't think it'll go the way they expect it to in this case either.
And the fact that he tried to talk it back the next day, to kind of qualify his statements, it was, a day late and millions of people too late, in my opinion.
I mean, that's the thing about
something up front and then step back and say, oh, well, I should have said this. No, he condemned America. I just can't believe that the whole world saw what he was saying about his own country, his own voters. Because there are some Republicans that unfortunately voted for him. I would never have, but that's the reality of it. You don't go and condemn your country, and that's basically what he did. I don't think I've ever seen another president or prime minister get up on TV where we see a global broadcast and hear them say that about their citizens. I was just stunned.
That's the thing about these real chest pounding, proud statements being made. I'm not sure anyone's ever done an absolute analysis or even been possible, but I have an assumption in the back of my head that a lot of those end up having to be walked back, being like, okay, no, it wasn't really what I was doing there, as I got caught up in the moment, so to speak here. But again, that's my operating assumption anyway.
Well, when you're the leader of the free world, you have to be cautious with the words that come out.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call. Do appreciate it. You have a good one there.
You too.
I think we have time for one more call before we hit that next break here. Again, the number to call if you want to get on the line is 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. We do have Raul in the Northeastern line here with us right now. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew, to Barbara. Yeah, when you're leading free world, words count. Yeah, you got 23 people killed in El Paso with your words. You got the Capitol invaded with your words, Donald Trump. What 9/11 means to me is the shame of the U.S. government and the ruling elite's role in the Middle East, getting in bed with the autocratic Saudi monarchy, the Shah of Iran, and dictators like Saddam Hussein, all for oil profits, and the bidding of the energy plutocrats. 9/11 reminds me of the murderous moron George W. Bush and his dropping the ball on 9/11. Now, Trump's first trip abroad as president was to Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. And he sided with the royal family's claim that they had nothing to do with the murder of Saudi dissident and American Saudi Arabian journalist Jamal Khashoggi. On a local front, New Mexico's first judicial district court, Judge Francis Matthews, declared today that the January 6th Capitol riot was an insurrection. And in a ruling that Otero County Commissioner and Cowboys for Trump co-founder Corey Griffin to be removed as county commissioner for participating in the attack, and he's barred for life from holding any federal or state office. So there you go, another Trumper who screwed himself for Donald Trump. Now, Trump's former Attorney General Bill Barr said Donald Trump jerked around the Department of Justice and left them no choice but to execute a search warrant on his home. He said that in front of Fox, and he rebutted Trump's claim that the MAGA loco search was unprecedented, saying it's also unprecedented for a president to take all this classified information and put them in a country club. And among Barr's choice words about the various claims of voter fraud by Trump's legal team were BS, absolute rubbish, idiotic, stupid, crazy, and a great disservice to the country. And what's more, Barr added, if Trump actually believed the garbage he was spewing about the election, then he had become dangerously detached from reality. I say so are the lemmings in his cult, many of whom call in and post on your page. And, I'll end this. A January 6th writer was turned in by his ex after he called her a moron because she didn't believe Donald Trump's lies about the 2020 election and he was sentenced to 9 months in federal prison today. Some guy named Richard Machete of Pennsylvania. He pleaded guilty to a felony count of obstruction of an official proceeding.
Did see that note here, and it's Coy Griffin actually got the chance to speak with him before all of this here, referring to that Otero County Commissioner there, Couy, so Coy Griffin. And it was a very interesting statement. We've replayed that on this show at least one time on his level of support for Donald Trump here. But I mean, the interesting thing about it and the finer points there, maybe we'll get into that a little bit later, but the idea of a judge declaring it an insurrection, I mean, that is a judge thing and a legal proceeding in its own right here. But I think the point you're probably trying to get to there is therefore what will then happen to the former president and your expectations there. And, well, let's just say actually partaking in a riot, that's still, I think, the most apt term for what happened that day. And either inciting it, probably as you're putting forth, or trying to get larger results out of it. What the duty of a president and those kind of things is, let's just say that your continued theory you've put forth on that isn't borne out by any jurisprudence, previous decisions in this case, because the fact of the matter is that the duty to act, there is no law enforcement agency in this country, in any case, that is held to, you must prevent crime, you must stop crime, and you must stop crime in progress. Like, sure, there is an expectation that'll happen, and whether or not he violated oath of office, those kind of things were, well, part of the impeachment hearings, among other things. But, of course, the remedy for those, as I've said more than a couple of times, is removal from office. So outside of that, if that is truly the only thing that can be done, if that is indeed the case, then the point is moot. But, again, there are clearly expectations beyond that here. And 2/9/11 here, maybe I give calls a little bit too much time here, but wanted to see where this went here, and I guess it didn't go too far from where I expected. But the idea that 9/11 was the United States just desserts for long interventionism, adventurism, and other, misadventures, I guess, better way to put it here, in parts of the Middle East. It's no secret that the United States has a, well, not exactly shining, sterling history whenever it comes to intervention in other countries. Has rarely worked out that well outside of, like, the things that we make movies about and keep pounding on when it comes to, like, the various wars. Armed conflicts are one thing, but the, dealing with the internal politics of other countries has not really worked out for us all that well, and yet it seems to be so a committed part of the United States foreign policy, at least for the foreseeable future and recent past in any case. But calling it, and therefore we got what we deserved, if that's essentially the point you're making there, that's a hell of a line to take, and one I'm definitely not going to follow you down on that path, because sure, should the United States have been doing many of the things that did involving the Middle East and some of its pretty bald-faced ambitions by both individuals and official government policies in place? Probably not, would be the simple answer there. Now, does that then and deservedly result in the death of literal thousands of people that had almost nothing to do with it besides residing in the country that was being attacked there? Again, that's a hell of a link to make, and one I'm definitely not going to be following you down on that line of reasoning here. We got to take that next break right now. Here, again, if you want to get on the line, the number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I-10 eastbound at Lomaland, an earlier crash blocking the right lane is causing a big backup. It's not getting any shorter. Slowing starts at Airway all the way to Lomaland with 11-minute delays. A multi-vehicle crash on Zaragoza on-ramp to the Gateway East is blocking the right lane and causing some minor delays there. Gateway Boulevard South at Diana Drive, an accident there is blocking the right lane. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Want to save 50% on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters cheddar shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Visit Blindster through September 8th to save 50% off any order during their Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
You wash your hands and brush your teeth, but what about your nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage pulls saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, dirt, and germs, and it's why nose cleaning is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons: sinusitis, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they also find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Nearly 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying things like, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. That's because Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less. But the biggest payoff is improved health. Here's the key point. Navage is good personal hygiene, and it's going to help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward and build that papier-mâché volcano.
I am not cleaning this up.
Ooh, yeah, I meant the kids. Staples will help them move forward. Right now, Crayola 10-count markers and 12-count colored pencils are just 99 cents each, and Staples 1-subject notebooks are only 35 cents. Everything on your list at amazing prices. Staples, we're not going back. We're going forward to school. Ends 9/10, in-store only, limit 30.
Today on Hey Culligan, soft water, cleaner environment. What do you say, Greg?
Hey Culligan, are you saying if I have a Culligan high-efficiency water softener, I'm also helping the environment?
It sounds like you're saying it, Greg, and yes, you are, because with the Culligan high-efficiency water softener, you'll use less detergent, soap, and harsh chemicals, and that's good for the planet.
Now you're saying it.
You bet I am, Greg. Soft water and a cleaner environment is already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Kids dream big. Protect your child's dreams by keeping them healthy. If your son or daughter is age 11 or 12, the American Cancer Society recommends giving them the HPV vaccine to help prevent HPV cancers later. Learn more at cancer.org/dreambig.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of commentary coming in there. A lot of comments we'll get to, but also calls on the line. If you're wanting to squeeze in there, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. I am Graham commenting on one of our commenters here, saying Biden only condemned those who support freedom, the Constitution, and those he hates for voting for and supporting Trump. I mean, I think there's a point you're making there, but again, whenever you're trying to specifically say, okay, only these people are bad, as opposed to we need to, angels of our better nature, those kind of things. Uniting speeches just have very different tenors and tones to them here. And a whole lot more commentary on other commentators. Again, if you want to add your 2 cents there, you certainly can. But also, well, phone lines, again, if you want to call in 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We do have Andrew on the west side here on the line with us right now. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much, Andrew. Two individuals who like to call in a lot gripe about security, national security. Well, one of the things that's occurring on our border, the lack of enforcement of immigration policies, is a direct threat to our national security.
Yeah, and that's a finer point that's been made, and credit where it's due. We popped it up during the last call here as it came in. I want to say, maybe find it here. Oh, Maria Coleman saying, the border being so porous is a perfect opportunity for a terrorist incident to occur. Some have been intercepted, but many more have slipped through. Again, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know who exactly has not then had any other interactions and such things. But the fact that this possibility can be allowed to continue is concerning to say the least.
Yes, sir. Well, some of my colleagues out there have said, well, the border is very secure. Look at the number of apprehensions we've had. Well, my response to that is, if you leave the spigot open long enough, you're going to collect buckets of water.
But all the other water filling on the ground here, it's, again, kind of going to the analogy we went into last week about, sure, if you have an open flood of things happening, you can deal with it in a couple different ways. One, you can keep trying to catch it and deal with it and process it enough, but if you don't have the correct resources, eventually you're going to fall behind on that or have things slip through the literal cracks in that way. Or you can try to, turn off the spigot in that way. And I would think that both would be a very good thing to do here. But one or the other seems to be in between the balance between administrations, the way it's focused on. But the idea of ultimately having maybe a little bit more focus on turning it off, but in this meantime, if that means that more fall through the cracks, I mean, it almost is a catch-22 if you're not doing both at the same time, which is highly politically unpalatable, is what it seems to be on the balance.
Yes, sir. Well, Mayorkas and Biden have no intention of securing the border. That's for one. And I talk about people coming across, not only illegal immigrants to speak politely, but these individuals that are coming across. A lot of them are criminals. Notice I said a lot of them are criminals. A lot of them are terrorists from different countries. So we know that for a fact. They're on the watch list. But even more so, I call these smugglers of humans. I call them and smugglers of drugs. I call them narco terrorists.
I mean, that has often been a correct phrase for them, or even more than that. I mean, they're essentially state agents in their own right. And no, I do not mean the state of Mexico on its own, but of their own, narco states, which essentially, I mean, with nature abhors a vacuum, so does politics, and so does governance. And so the fact that there have been places where essentially the government of Mexico has, not necessarily by specific action, but by de facto or lack of enforcement, abdicated its responsibility. I mean, this is why we have seen individuals in certain cities essentially set up their own, for lack of a better term, militia. I know that term has some baggage with it, but seriously, providing their own security, providing their own, enforcement of their, boundaries of their cities and towns is what they've kind of been forced into. And that's why, without any other action happening with it, what definitely the cartels and others have done here. So it's almost beyond narco terrorism. They're state actors in their own right of, rogue narco states.
Yes, sir. And one final point I wanted to make, and responding to Frankie and that Raul character. Well, Biden stood in front of Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Interestingly enough, that is where the birth of the United States came about, by a couple of people who would, at the time, were referred to as insurrectionists. One of the writers of the Declaration of Independence himself, Thomas Jefferson, was born, I believe, in Chadwick, Virginia, which at the time was British America.
I mean, most of the founding generation were born in and under the administration of, Great Britain and the United Kingdom in its own right there. So the fact of that's, I mean, yeah, a lot of it. I mean, the whole Declaration of Independence, our sacred honor and all those points with it, as a further point that Benjamin Franklin, also kind of a Francophile in his own right, said, we must all hang together, or most assuredly we shall all hang separately. It was no secret, the stakes that were in place of what they were doing, because had that conflict been lost, they certainly would have been tried and dealt with in probably a variety of ways, but all to a central point of trying to overthrow the authority of the state.
Yes, and I will reiterate what I've said time and time again. I don't agree with the insurrectionists that happened, that took place, or that were involved on January 6th. I don't condone what they did. And I will say one thing about that raid on Mar-a-Lago. These individuals that were for this raid on Mar-a-Lago, the investigative officers, they were afraid that these documents were unsecured. Well, if that is a big problem, and I throw this out there, why is it that they took a couple of safecrackers with them if they were afraid that the documents were unsecure?
Again, there's a lot of questions I have of that whole incident that I would hope we can eventually, you, me, everyone in the general audience can find out and get to the bottom of. But given the way it's being handled so far, at the very least, when it comes to the classified documents that are at question and at hand here, I have doubts that we'll ever truly see the bottom of this investigation.
That's true. Well, and like I said, Raul and Frankie have succeeded in getting people thrown off the track from more important issues that are occurring in the borderlands. But this is stuff that is more a topic for Friday. But anyway,
Fair enough.
I turn the mic over to you. Tucker Carlson is about to begin.
Fair enough here. Well, thanks for the point in the call. Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good one there. All right, we got to take that next break right now. But coming out of this break, we got more comments coming in here, a lot more comments, as well as more calls in the line here. Again, if you want to get on the line, do have some space now. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olguin with your KFOX 14 News Update. The mayor of Anthony, Texas, had a bond hearing today after facing a charge of family violence. Mayor Benjamin Cedillo Romero was arrested Sunday by the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. He was booked into the detention facility on Sunday. The victim told the jail magistrate that Romero had pulled a knife on her and slashed her tires. The victim also told the judge that he was physically violent with her on multiple occasions. Agents with the U.S. Border Patrol found a 4-year-old migrant boy abandoned near the border barrier in Santa Teresa. Officials say the boy, who's from Ecuador, was abandoned by what they said was ruthless smugglers. It's unclear when the boy was located by Border Patrol. Agents say he was in possession of his passport and his parents' contact information. This has been your KFOX 14 News Update. I'm Robert Olguin.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Massive delays continue on the I-10 eastbound because of an earlier crash at Loma Land, blocking the right lane, and stop-and-go traffic starts at Paisano Drive all the way to Loma Land with 20-minute delays. A crash on Zaragoza on-ramp to Gateway East is blocking the right lane and causing minor delays, mostly northbound Zaragoza. And an accident reported North Loop at North Carolina Drive. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
After a pretty nice holiday weekend, our drier weather pattern will continue as we head into the middle part of the week. Expect a mostly clear sky, and temperatures will also be pleasant overnight as they drop into the low to middle 60s by early Wednesday morning. Coming up tonight, we'll talk about how long this drier weather pattern lasts, along with warmer than average temperatures. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. This Labor Day, save $50 on a Lowe's exclusive Charbroil Performance Series 4-burner gas grill, just $299. Plus, get 3 1-cubic foot bags of Stay Green Garden Soil for just $10. Offer valid through 9/7 while supplies last. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
On a busy construction site, things can be misinterpreted. Bring in the bulldozer can sound a lot like
Building looks mediocre. Designs need a do-over.
or even
Install a roller coaster? Okay.
be on the same page at every stage with Autodesk, from the designers to the field crew to the owner of the finished building. Autodesk Construction Cloud gives everyone clarity. Now, can we actually bring in the bulldozer?
From the team who brought you Atlanta Monster and Up and Vanished comes the new true crime podcast, La Monstra. In the 80s and 90s, Belgium was plagued by a real-life monster whose crimes are among the darkest in that country's history.
A psychopath is somebody who understands emotions. His whole being was a really deep and evil man.
Listen to La Monstra. That's LEMONSTRE on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Summer is winding down, but business needs keep ramping up. Check out Indeed, the all-in-one hiring solution that helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com.
Getting a news feed on your phone while driving makes thriving more difficult. This is dangerous. Getting a news feed without a computer or mobile device? It would be impossible. Unless, of course, you get your live news feeds at the top and bottom of the hour. It's easy. Traffic and weather all day. It's as simple as that. Trending stories tend to change. Every minute of every day. Twice an hour, we'll feed your curiosity. Stay informed. Shouldn't we listen? They're hungry. News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. Again, we mentioned those because you leave your comments over there, as a lot are doing. Kathy Codry, RJ over on the YouTube, Ion Graham, Stephen Christopher, EFR also on the YouTube, Barbara Carrasco, Robbie Flores, Maria Coleman, and more. Job in those election rack. Better way to find the list. You're supposed to scroll through all the comments here. Ion Graham, Ted Kors, Ida Beza Gardner, Flaco Jimenez, Monica Cervantes, and Robbie Flores. John Browson a little bit earlier as well here. So if you want to make your comment, more than welcome to over there. Just one final point. Some important stories have been brought up as part of this here. Kathy Codry asking if I remember when a slick Willie Clinton lost the nuke codes for over a month here. I'm going to be honest with you. That was a little bit before my time in paying attention to politics here. I believe I was in elementary school at the time. So apologies for not being the most wired. The internet also didn't exist back then. So no, I wasn't really watching the nightly news that wrapped here, but I do vaguely consider it here. I do not need to date myself or date anyone else, make anyone else feel old, but just the way it is for me. So, I mean, there have also been how many, I think on the order of 4 or 5 absolute nuclear devices lost by the United States, either in accidents or other mishaps. So, again, the whole point about the United States government being way more civ-like than I would have any level of comfort being absolutely applies. So I guess I'm not surprised, but no, I have not looked into that incident exactly or recall it, to be more accurate with you here. But more of the commentary coming in here, including RJ saying the government of Mexico gets better pay from the cartels than any other entity. So you can say the cartels, have a government of their own. I mean, yes, the level of corruption is always an issue, but more specifically, the fact that they essentially act as their own government agencies and entities in their own right, where they govern, so to speak here. I guess what really made the difference for me in starting to change my conception of it, among other things, was that essentially, I mean, in times when like drug trade was slow or things were not as profitable in certain industries, the cartels, in just search of absolute money, were literally siphoning off oil from oil pipelines within Mexico. I know we don't often think of Mexico as a natural energy or fossil fuel energy powerhouse, but they have a lot in their own right. Not necessarily as much celebrated as, say, like places like Venezuela, but they have a decent amount. And the fact that cartels were just stealing that because, hey, we can get our own money, or more specifically, even from that they were setting up their own wireless communication networks, cell phone towers for their own personal communications, that's getting beyond just criminal organization territory and more into, again, narco state. Very specific term that I use for that purpose here. And if it seems like we're focusing a lot on immigration, border security, those kind of issues here today, it's because we are going to be having an interview a little bit later this week. I know we don't usually get into that at this point during the show, but we're going to be talking with the city of El Paso, specifically some of the deputy city managers, about some of the local response we've seen to the, say, recent migrant influx from Venezuela, among other things, and how that was done, and some questions and issues brought up on this program. So if you got any specific questions for that, or there are things you want to learn from that avenue, drop those comments over there if you can, or let us know. Also, I take emails, Andrew Polk rather. There's no J in that email. I sometimes get caught up. Andrew Polk at iHeartMedia.com. We do take emails there. I get a lot of people sending me things. I don't usually reply to them unless you ask for a reply specifically. Otherwise, I take it kind of as an FYI kind of situation. But let's get back to those phone lines again. That number to call is 915-544-5876. 544 KTSM. We do have John on the east side here with us right now. John, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Andrew. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to compliment your listeners and then those other people that call in. Usually very, very articulate. They've done some research and they've done some fact checking, and which is really, really inspiring. By name, Barbara, sharp lady. Enjoy listening to her. She's very calm. Conversely, you have, Raul and Frankie, and the emotion sets in. And to me, once that starts happening, you lose the argument. And they're very emotional and they're very just super hyper about saying certain things. And to me, that doesn't convince me, or it shouldn't convince anybody of anything, simply because it's like, I think that they are just so emotional about some of these issues. You want to call it Trump derangement syndrome, that's fine. But anything it's like this. This is the fourth investigation on Trump. And I'm trying to find in my heart, it's like they haven't found anything yet on anything they've done. They found a couple little things that may look a little improper or whatever that maybe no president or a public official is immune to.
Sure.
And I don't understand how people know what are in all these documents. Everybody supposedly, quote unquote, knows what's in these documents. How is that possible? And they're making all these assumptions and they're making all these judgments. It's like, don't we live in a country that you're innocent until proven guilty? And I think that's really fallen flat on its face, unfortunately, with what's been happening in this administration. And I hate to say that, but it just seems like the last year and a couple of years, it's been that way. What say you?
I'll agree that, taking it even further back, there have always been people that even within the apparatus of justice or, holding those in office accountable, who have had their own goals with them, so to speak here. I know that in a lot of these examples, has been brought up, previous office holders, Hillary Clinton, previous presidents, etc. here. And none of them are above the law. That's literally the concept of rule of law, going back to freaking Magna Carta, if you really want to go that far back, and the idea that there is no person, no personage, no position that has anything that puts them above all of the restrictions that they are in place for the general populace here. Now, maybe some finer points within that, but even within that sphere of talking about some of those previous people, I think it's pretty fair to admit that even some of those things that were brought up here, I know this is not going to be a popular example, but Benghazi, as much as there was definitely some very serious things to be looked into there was definitely a smacking of some of the politics going on at some points during that investigation, and those that had political goals. I see very similar things as part of this here. Yes, there are very serious questions that I want to see answered and probably never will, unfortunately, because I'm not privy to such the documents themselves, so to speak. So anyone outside of that realm, probably without that kind of clearance and read into those files, will probably never know the full truth of that situation, just what ends up getting put out, those random the carpet pictures, those kind of things here. But when it starts to become more transparently obvious that the goal here is not justice, is not accountability, is not, the good functioning and, security of this country, but rather the political goal itself here, not only is that, kind of pointless, but actively destructive in a way that I think is not often considered. It's that whole short-term versus long-term goals thinking. What is short-term politically advantageous and expedient versus what are our core values? Where do we want to go as a country? And oftentimes the latter is lost only in sight for the first, losing the forest for the trees, so to speak here. Because looking at, I have someone I don't like in office or a political opponent, what can I do to them? And the ends justifying the means is essentially the thought process towards it here. So again, I call for the investigations and want to see them completed because I genuinely do, but also just in aggregate, as you're talking about the number of investigations, when you start getting to that much and that much focus, and given some of the other statements that have been made there, during the, I remember the first term of the Obama administration, there were some flat out statements say we want this to be a one-term president. Was never exactly said, at least not that I can point to anyone specifically saying when it came to the Trump administration, but at a certain point, it was pretty transparent from certain individuals that was their unstated, but again, pretty obvious goal.
Right. Well, it's true. And, everything you're saying is spot on simply because what's going to happen is if the Republicans take control of things, then it's going to appear, whether it's true or not, it's going to appear that they're out just to get the Democrats now. So we've created this situation that it's all politics, and who's left holding the bag is us, the public, the voters. So anyway, I appreciate you, Andrew. Keep up the good work, man.
Yeah, appreciate it greatly. Thank you very much for the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, yeah, the whole back and forth and the pendulum swinging. I mean, sure, we've seen movements and maneuvering within the political spectrum and of who is in power here, but the idea that you have to be in control of everything, any particular party, and therefore your major idea is to both stay in power, because that's always the subtext here, and while you end up with the septuagenarian, some often not quite octogenarian rule that we have currently, meaning 70s and 80-year-olds in some cases, which, not to say that there aren't people that are competent that way, but given the number and the amount that we have in many elected top-level positions in this country here, it's out of the norm. Let's just put it that way. And the fact that this keeps being that way because those in power often, the ones that stay in power, that's their focus, is staying in power, and not necessarily thereby what they can actually do to improve things, achieve goals, do things that don't sound good in a campaign speech. And so the idea of this back and forth from it are frustrating as hell. Let's just put it that way. But that does not mean that even within the scope and span of what we're talking about here, that there cannot be individual injustices or things being done correctly or incorrectly. It's just the overall arch of it and bent of it is not exactly what I think either the founding fathers or the general public to this day really envisioned on the functioning here. So tell you what, let's squeeze in one more quick call before we have to take that break here. We do have a call on the line here. You're live with Talk El Paso. Who's this? Hello. All right. Don't think we got that call on the line there. If you're calling into the show, you might want to be a little bit Johnny on the spot with it here, because we could pop you up live, particularly if you're calling right at the end of a segment. But tell you what, we'll go ahead and take that break, get to some of the calls here, tell you what we got coming up for you, and close out the show. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I mean, we talked about one guest that we'll have on, but we'll get into more of those again after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need for school at prices that won't hold you back. Right now, Crayola 24-count crayons, Staples comp books, and 2-pocket polyfolders are just 50 cents each. Offer ends 9/10, limit 30. This year, go forward to school with Staples, the working and learning store.
Hello?
Mike, this is Norma Jean at Sergio Lewis Body Shop near the airport. Have you seen Sergio?
I'm expecting him in a few minutes to cut a new commercial.
I'm really worried about him, Mike. He really believes he's a poet. It's gone to his head.
There's plenty of room up there. Anyways, his poetry isn't that bad.
Will you please have him call the shop?
Sure, Norma.
That's Norma Jean. Mike, gotta go.
Eee, she's feisty. Hey, Sergio, there you are.
Hey, Mike, I have this great new poem. Check this out, man. Sometimes even our darkest moments are enlightening. Hey, what's so funny, man?
Nothing, Sergio, really. By the way, Norma Jean called.
Really? What did she want?
Oh, she was just telling me what a big fan she is of your poetry, Sergio. Sergio Lewis Body Shop at 3800 Admiral near the airport, where it's the customer's choice, not the insurance company's, and there's a lifetime warranty on all collision repair. 593-0191.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward and build that papier-mâché volcano.
I am not cleaning this up.
Ooh, yeah, I meant the kids. Staples will help them move forward. Right now, Crayola 10-count markers and 12-count colored pencils are just 99 cents each, and Staples one-subject notebooks are only 35 cents. Everything on your list at amazing prices. Staples, we're not going back. We're going forward to school. Ends 9/10, in-store only, limit 30.
Today on Hey Culligan, soft water, cleaner environment. What do you say, Greg?
Hey, Culligan, are you saying if I have a Culligan high-efficiency water softener, I'm also helping the environment?
It sounds like you're saying it, Greg, and yes, you are, because with the Culligan high-efficiency water softener, you'll use less detergent, soap, and harsh chemicals, and that's good for the planet.
Now you're saying it.
You bet I am, Greg. Soft water and a cleaner environment is already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Centro Santa Catalina announced that Sister Nancy Murray, OP, will perform her celebrated one-woman play, St. Catherine of Siena, A Woman for Our Times, at the Loretto Academy Little Theater, 1300 Hardaway Drive on September 10th at 4 p.m. A reception and silent auction will be held on the patio outside of the theater following Sister Nancy Murray's performance. Tickets are $30 and can be purchased by calling the Centro de Santa Catalina office at 915-227-5113.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Again, a couple of notes of what we got coming up for you. Again, we'll be having a conversation with at least one of the deputy city managers from the city of El Paso on the recent migrant response and some of the points they've been making, and wanted to clear the air a bit is what they've said. So we'll get into that here coming up for you. But again, tomorrow on the show, going to be checking with our news partners there at KFOX 14 on some of those big stories of the day here, including some of the things that y'all brought up here, but a lot more, including the in-depth reporting. So stay tuned for all that. We're squeezing a lot we can into the short week here. It feels like we're already halfway to Friday because we kind of are. In any case, we got time for one more quick call. We do have James on the east side here with us right now. James, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for squeezing me in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing. Of course, we've talked with you previously about some of the petition efforts specifically related to that University Medical Center, County Hospital District, certificates of obligation, bond possibility so far.
Yes, indeed. And thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. That was very helpful. A lot of people became aware of it and I think found a way to get to us in signature. So thank you for that. I just wanted to call in and let your audience know of one last opportunity if they wanted to come and sign a petition or if they wanted to drop off petitions. We have some options for them. Let me put you on speaker real quick. We're going to have a final signing party on two locations. On the east side, Rock and Cigar Bar and Grill. It's called Eastern Block on Traywood. And the other location is going to be the Rock and Cigar Bar and Grill on the west side on North Mesa. And so anybody who wants to come in and sign the petition or bring, a sheet full of signatures, can look for us, maybe look for Republican Liberty Caucus or just people with petition paraphernalia. And we'll try to make ourselves obvious and they can come and sign the petition or hand over any sheets that they have of signatures. People can go to elpasopetition.com if they need to download and print a petition sheet. And if they want to then bring us a sheet full of signatures, they could do that. And then also, if you can't make it to that, it's gonna be this Thursday. We'll be there 5:30 till as late as we can. We're saying till 10:30, but that's a long time. But 5:30 to like 8:30, we'll be there at both Rock and Cigar Bar and Grill locations. There's also a doctor's office, Dr. Michael No's office on George Dieter. The address is, I can't find it. So anyway, it's just Google Dr. No. It's 1440 George Dieter Suite A. Again, that's 1440 George Dieter Suite A. They can drop off signatures there all the way up until Friday morning, or best by Thursday, because we're going to turn them into the county clerk on Friday.
Gotcha here. So, all right. Well, James, thank you very much for that point and the more info on that. You have a good one there.
You too. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely here. Unfortunately, that's going to do it for us here today. We are super out of time for this show. So again, want to thank everyone that did tune in, call in, comment, participate in the show. This interaction of all stripes is, well, what makes it what it is. I mean, you can't have, a trail mix without a few nuts in it. But in any case, we'll be back on air tomorrow with more Talk El Paso. Stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when down the road and have a great evening, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I-10 eastbound has been slow all afternoon. It's still got 15-minute delays from Trowbridge to Lomaland. An earlier crash blocking the right lane. I-10 eastbound at Lomaland. Traffic is stop and go on the Liberty Expressway eastbound between Constitution and the Loop with 7-minute delays. An accident's blocking the right lane, still Gateway East, eastbound at Zaragoza on-ramp. El Paso fires on the scene there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Hi, this is U.S. Congressman Tony Gonzalez. Are you paying more for just about everything? I know I am. Inflation is costing Texas families thousands of dollars more for everyday goods like groceries. That's why in Congress, I'm working against reckless government spending to help put a stop to skyrocketing inflation. If you have any questions for me about my work to combat inflation, please do not hesitate to reach out at 210-806-9920 or online at gonzalez.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
You need to know what's going on.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Stay informed at ktsmradio.com. News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. A majority of Americans will soon be within 5 miles of a vaccine center distributing the new Omicron-specific booster. That's according to Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, who said the COVID booster will be available to around 90% of Americans by the end of the week. President Biden says his administration has passed legislation over his term so far that benefits everyday Americans in many